All right, chat, we are back, part two, and if you guys are just joining us, we are working our way through St. Elmo's Fire, but we might have to be investing in a new computer soon because we'll just be now like every other live stream apparently. It's just randomly halfway through the live stream, the computer's like, oh, we're experiencing issues, now you're restarting. So it's like, hey, don't you know we're working here, pal? We're trying to watch Emilio Estevez, so I don't know who feels worse right now, us for the live stream restarting or Emilio Estevez is going to have to restart this date with Dale Bieberman again, chat. It's just things aren't going well. But, the hospital calls, duty calls. She's back to work. We're back to work as well, too, chat. I mean, we're watching St. Elmo's Fire, of course, 40th anniversary, chat. 40 years later, 1985. Still holds up. Shout out. 44% of Rotten Tomatoes, not accurate. But we're also cooking up on the trade machine. And we've also got the New York Liberty versus the Phoenix Mercury on in the background. Liberty down to 7. Breanna Stewart, though, just cut it to 5. But still, Phoenix up 5. A minute 45 left in the first quarter. So we might have to lock into this as well, too. And just, keep our fingers crossed. Okay, just subscribe because make no mistake, the computer can restart at any point. The live stream will just get randomly cut off and shut down. And it is what it is. There's no way to stitch them together or make it, it just is what it is. We just have like 4 30-minute live streams. It just this computer keeps restarting. But you just gotta subscribe because then you'll be locked in and be like, oh no, he's restarting again. His computer must have died. If you get like 4 alerts on a Friday night that the Rem and Sam pod is going live, it's like, oh, the Rem and Sam computer's just dying and restarting again, and they're firing back up. I guess St. Elmo's Fire is not over yet, but they're working their way through it. Little McCarthy, Ali Sheedy, little scene, little dialogue. Of course, McCarthy is a little stubborn, no romance, staying away, chat. But we'll see what he's got up his sleeve for a little bit later. And maybe the computer got slowed down trying to think of us cooking up Zion Williams trades, chat. Hey yo, Zion killed the Pelicans, killed our computer, chat. I don't know what happened. Somebody's getting the blame. Somebody in IT. Or Zion. I don't know. We just point fingers at Zion. Fingers and chicken fingers. I don't know what the right thing is, chat. But they're all getting pointed at Zion these days. So, we'll just jump in. As we'll do. Zion to the Clippers? Zion for Harden? Chat. Now we're, it seems like NBA teams are willing to make moves outside of the basketball talent, chat. And, maybe you make the argument either way. But, and not the lack of it, but obviously health, consistency, moments, all that different. We don't want to go through it, chat. But the contracts are pretty similar, and Harden is a 1-year deal, so you're talking yourself into the Pelicans, and again, giving yourself the ability to build around your other talents in both minutes and cap space available, and just shots and all that different stuff. Poole's only on a 2-year deal. Poole, an expiring contract next year is probably not the worst thing in the world. 27-year-old Jordan Poole can be a decent scorer, and even 20-point-a-game score. Again, $30 million right now is not looking too crazy. Like with his little extra sort of pop that he was given in the playoffs, like him in the 30s compared to Norm Powell in the 20s. Is Norm Powell on the free agency? Oh wait, yeah, 20.4. Like Jordan Poole can definitely sort of be equal value. Those guys can be similar level players, and that's a credit. Jordan Poole saying him at that extra level can definitely be that that extra contract boost as well too. But Harden for Zion for James Harden, and the Clippers would probably have to throw in you don't know, Chad. I mean, if the Pelicans have the space to be able to take in some extra contracts in the trade. I mean, if the Clippers had an extra young player or two to throw in there, maybe they would. But they probably just don't have enough, honestly, to get it done. It'd really have to be like, okay, are we thinking Kawhi, and then I guess it would be Zion. And then, it makes sense for the Pelicans to go a little bit more into that trade with Zion and some extra pieces. And then, why are the Pelicans trading for Kawhi as a franchise guy? I mean, obviously, why? It's still Kawhi, but, it's just like, is that really the move we want to make if we're the Pelicans franchise? The Blazers, I feel like Sam is sneaky, kind of wanted Zion on the Blazers. Ayton on the expiring. Oh, now we're talking, Chad. Now we're talking. Zion for Ayton? This might be a straight up just 1-for-1 deal. Oh, and the trade machine says it's equal on the wins. Oh, Chad, we have a deal. Oh, man. We got to let that sink in for a second because I don't really know how to feel about where we're at in 2025. And this could be an equal move. On one hand, they are both former number 1 overall picks. Of course, Zion, a different level of number 1 overall pick where DeAndre Ayton, it was like, should Luka be the number 1 overall pick? Should Bagley be the number 1 overall pick? If Sacramento was the number 1 overall pick team, Bagley definitely would have been. But Zion, again, at a different level. But from where Zion has been at the consistency-wise, but where from Ayton has been at, like, to say that Zion is worth DeAndre Ayton in a trade feels like a compliment, but also I don't know if it is. And then for Ayton, it's definitely a compliment, but I also don't know if it is. It's very confusing, chat. But you get Ayton on a 1-year deal. Can you play, again, long-term Ayton and Queen and Missy and all these guys together, but you're not worried about it because Ayton's on a 1-year deal? Maybe you flip him at the deadline for a team as well, too, needing some center minutes, a more competitive team, or just somebody willing to give up more assets or looking for something more specific in that role. And then, again, books are cleared, minutes are cleared. Queen and Missy long-term can be the guys. And I guess it doesn't have to be a center as well, too, necessarily that you're trading Zion for, obviously, but he is a bigger contract. So I guess you could trade Zion for Jeremy Grant. That's not bad either, honestly. If you're the Pelicans, you just had Brandon Ingram for a couple years. Do you want his scoring in there to mesh with Trey Murphy and Herb Jones minutes? Like, maybe he overlaps with some of your players that you, Jeremiah Fears as well, too, in the mix now, Chad. At the guard spot. But let's see. Wait, Jeremy Grant for Zion. Does that get a little too... No, that works as well, too. The Blazers, actually, they're saying Ayton a better fit for the Pelicans than Jeremy Grant, I guess. He is +1, or yeah, he's +0, and then Jeremy Grant is -1 for additive wins. Hey, yo, Jeremy Grant just bricking shots. This is apparently going to one less game than Zion. But his scoring could be fun for a couple of years on the team. Jeremy Grant and Jordan Poole on the same team. That could be a fun random pairing in the NBA for sure. But you just got Holiday. So Holiday back on the Pelicans. Again, now that Holiday's in his sort of Jedi Master phase, I'm all in. I don't really, the contract, it is what it is. That's the point. I kind of honestly think that in building a team, these are the most valuable contracts now. Are these $30 to $40 million contracts? Maybe that's not even a hot take, but that goes for, maybe even 35 to 45. But like the guys that are, of course, on the second contracts after that rookie deal that are making definitely significantly more, but still not quite first team All NBA money. And then the veteran guys who have gotten enough raises over their years to, again, Jeremy Grant's able to earn the $30 million level at some point. So some of those guys can be a little interesting and be a little, what is the value of the production versus them on the books? But when it becomes time to like start maneuvering, and maybe then it's like, okay, well, we need to maneuver because why? Because the players aren't meeting and all the different stuff. But when it comes to the versatility for the moves that you can make as a franchise, like just having that guy around is not bad. And again, Holiday is like, oh man, what's Holiday? Is he the same level of player? Again, with the Celtics being a franchise team, it's like, oh, is he going to, how do we keep him around? Is he going to be able to impact us in the same way? But there is still obviously a place for him in the league as a role in that type of guy. Franchises that want to still have him around as well too. So it's not like there's no trade destinations for a guy even a little overpaid, later in his career to end up at. So I don't know if we have to rank, like that'd be an interesting thought experiment, I guess. I don't know if it would be or not, but it definitely would be. But the most overpaid contract types of guys, where again it's not like the actual guy itself, but is it the veteran who is on the decade plus, who is like okay, but the 22 point a game guy, the kind of good stats bad team guy? Is it the playoff performer type guy who, you know, if Neesmith just got like $25 million a year this year, 30 million, maybe even like, you know, we're saying in the 30 million. I don't know, would Neesmith get $30 million a year? But if he did, then, or $27 million a year, like Nemhard's at like 18 right now. So Neesmith making, you know, I guess him making anything would be awesome. But, you know, it just, the basketball value of it, it would seem like him making significantly more than Nemhard would be a little bit interesting. But I don't think we're talking about Zion Williams trades anymore. He would be the most immediate. I guess, could the Mavs be sort of written off as a off-season team? You know, we're not Windhorse here, like, oh, here, are we hearing something? Is this team up to some? Because the problem is Kyrie is hurt as well, too. And they did lock him down for a deal. So it's like, they kind of like the idea, I guess, of, and not even I guess, but, you know, they obviously like the idea of Kyrie, Cooper Flag, and Anthony Davis. And they value, you know, Kyrie at the guard spot. You know, they traded Luka and kept Kyrie. Hey, yo, it is what it is. I mean, they got Davis out of it. You know, shout out. Building the best front line in the league. But, oh, I guess, you know, reference part 1 for us addressing Shams, calling the Mavs, the Mavs forwards the best front line in the league. But, you know, it's definitely in competition. I guess we forgot that they also have PJ Washington as well, too. Daniel Gafford, Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flag. Again, it's really good. And then, you know, Tatum is hurt. Also, you know, all in part 1 chat. But with Tatum hurt, it is still definitely a case. But, yeah, Kyrie's definitely probably, I guess maybe Clay? You know, $16 million a year, chat. 2 years. His three-point shooting could definitely still be a little streaky, of course, at this time. Two-way stuff, not totally there, but maybe he is sort of in a veteran-y type role as well, too. Maybe you know, maybe the Blazers is the place for Clay, chat. Advia probably not going to happen. Thibault? If Thibault opts in, you know, I still would probably rather have Clay than Thibault. You'd have Thibault and, I guess, you know, if you're lucky enough to get Kamara, Thibault and Kamara in a Clay trade, there's no way. Kamara's too valuable, chat. Hey, yo, I don't know if you go back to the Ringer for a second. Does Simmons have Kamara in his trade value rankings? Because that's like, you know, still a specific way to rank the players, but it's still like a top 70 or something. So, you know, Kamara's a top 70 player in the league, chat. I mean, not writing it off, but that's like okay, right now, he's top 70? Sure. I mean, I'm all in. But I don't think they'd be able to get him either way. In a Klay Thompson deal. Maybe in a Gafford deal. I don't know if the Blazers would obviously be trading for Gafford, but, you know, if you have to bring in Kamara, can the Spurs trade for Kamara? Is Kamara maybe untradeable, chat? Is that the question? Zion to Golden State. I know we're not on Zion anymore with the Mavs. But maybe the Golden State, you know, Butler, Draymond, yeah, probably not going to trade, you know, just give up Draymond's legacy in Golden State for Zion. Moses Moody, probably not enough on the contract. And you start Buddy Hield. Do you go 3-for-1 contracts on the Zion trade? Then you have Steph, Jimmy Butler, Draymond, and Zion next year. Hey, yo, chat. Buddy Hield and Buddy Field. Maybe they're definitely going to need Buddy Hield and Buddy Love next year. You're going to need Buddy Hield to be a little bipolar next year. Also in part 1, chat, we were giving away the Buddy Love Bipolar Award for the player that plays like Professor Clump one night and then Buddy Love the next. You know, 30% one night, 50% the next. Who's a little up, down, all-star one night, not necessarily the best player on the court the next. Now it's like, oh, this guy's on the bench playing games, or not finishing games, and then the next night it's like, oh, he's the best player on the court. Like, who is... There's an obvious sort of star, I think, that this could be. See, the problem is, like, you don't want to say Gobert or something like that, because, like, the free throw thing becomes so dramatic. Because that's just one sort of skill set. Like, and not to say that, you know, there have been times where some of the other defense, other stuff, like, I'm not saying, you know, Gobert is a perfect player in the last 2 minutes of a game. But does he turn into... Is he a Professor Clump type guy? You know, is that the performances we're talking about? Or is it just, you know, the one skill in the game kind of makes it a mismatch stuff for the end of games? But he's definitely a little... And, you know, how often is Gobert playing, like, you know, Buddy Love as well, too, Chad, shout out. But I feel like he's definitely a nutty professor contender, for sure. the Nutty Professor Player of the Year. I mean, Clay now is definitely a little Nutty Professor player for sure. I mean, definitely in Golden State that last year, he was a little up down. Last half of the season, much better than the first, but it feels like him in Dallas has kind of continued that trend as well too. So Dallas may not have the trades to make. They do have a little tax space, a little first apron space. So, a little cost-effective team, and they do have they got better. I mean, if there is one thing to say about the Mavs, they got better. They got Cooper Flagg, so they got better from not having Luka Doncic to having Cooper Flagg. But I guess I don't know if they got better from having Luka Doncic. I guess that's the question, Chad. Are they better from having Luka Doncic now? Because is there a way that they could have still had the number 1 pick and had Luka? Can we go back and look at what their record was when they traded Luka? I think they were, I don't even remember, Chad. Were they a good team and then fell off? Or they were in a 6-7 range, and then they did eventually tail off as well too. I mean, after the trade, then once Davis got hurt and all the guys got hurt at some point, then it was like, okay, this is really getting disastrous. But they weren't the 3 seed when they traded Luka, but were they the 6 seed? Or were they the 9 seed? And then the Western Conference was so close all year. This what point did the trade actually happen in the timeline? Chat, Mercury 42, Liberty's 27. The Mercury on their home court are playing well. I don't know, we pull up 3-point percentage for Liberty or something. Maybe it's just, off game. Oh, great drive, chat. Who is that? Taking it strong. Ayo, 29-42. But they are, I guess we should say, the Phoenix, looking at the records now on the bottom, the little ticker, AO, or what do they call that, the scorecard. Phoenix is 11, they both have 11 wins, so Liberty 11-3, Phoenix 11-4, but same amount of wins for both teams. So again, Phoenix, and what was the Lynx record as well too? Were they a 12-win team? The Liberty were definitely, what are an updated FanDuel WNBA odds? Also reference part 1 for us to look at the Rookie of the Year odds. Ace Bailey at number 2, a little crazy. Talked about that in part 1. I guess crazy is obviously not. We're just saying whoa, a little eye raising. Ace Bailey number 2, because I would have assumed that Dylan Harper would have been a lock for number 2 for Rookie of the Year, but I guess not, chat. They like the Ace Bailey opportunity in Utah. They like that, and the Trey Johnson opportunity in Washington as well again. But speaking of St. Elmo's Fire, which we did not restart, we should mention we did not restart it in part 2. In part 1, we were a good decent ways into it in part 1, so it is what it is, Chad. Part 1's there, so check the tapes. But I guess we're not too far in right now. We're currently at 34, the 34-minute mark, but we're just go skip to Rob Lowe sitting on the edge of the roof. Just feet dangling. Still always a little, he's obviously going to be okay in this scene, but still always a little tense, chat. Definitely a nervous scene. I mean, the thing is, it's a steep roof. It's a steep roof. There's an old apartment that a buddy had in college that had a situation where you could get roof access, kind of up a ladder, up a hatch onto the roof. And then I think the roof had, you could access kind of up into a flat part, and then there was a slanted part that kind of overlooked the street that was underneath it, and then of course you're looking out over the downtown facility at that point as well too. But the roof itself, again, slanted, you could kind of sit up near the top, you could go down going down near the bottom. Again, I honestly don't even know if I'd go back up there, Chad. I probably would, but I'm getting a little nervous thinking about it, because you're like, okay, you're right off on multiple floors down. You're probably not making it on that one, but Rob Lowe just straight up dangling feet off is crazy. I'm tense thinking about it, chat. I am tense thinking about being in that spot. And again, he's sort of on the house, third floor. It's definitely brutal injuries for sure, and probably not much better than that. But still a risk taker, an edgy guy for sure. But that is one of the more aggressive, I think, roof. And so swirly scene. Also in part 1, the swirly scene, top 5 swirly scene in a movie. Best opening scene in a movie, smoking in a hospital with a naked guy in the background, just big old naked butt in the back, and just Andrew McCarthy ripping cigs in the hospital waiting room. And I mean, yeah, Rob Lowe sitting on the edge of a house early on. So, you know, we're cooking, chat. St. Elmo's Fire. And both the Pelicans guys have good odds as well, too. Knipple at 35-1. Knipple winning Rookie of the Year would be that's a little rich, chat. You know, Igor Denham at 35-1. Like, I can see, you know, Knipple, I could see being more, like, he's 35-1 because he's, like, consistently, I think, going to be, like, the 4th or 5th best rookie all year. Or maybe, you know, 3rd. Like, we'll give him the respect. But, you know, he'll consistently be in the mix for best performers, but maybe he doesn't quite get to the number 1 spot. But Igor Denham could be, all of a sudden, you're like, wait, is Igor Denham going to be Rookie of the Year? Or, you know, all of a sudden, like, oh, Danny Wolf is now the best player on the Brooklyn Nets, and their first pick is, you know, they got their draft backwards in some way, and it's all working out. But I like that they're both same odds, but I think Igor Denham, I would say, has a better chance to win. Or maybe I think Igor Denham has a better chance to get more first-place votes, would be a better way to say it. Because, again, Knipple could, I don't know, do they vote Rookie of the Year like they do MVP with the aggregate of it? So could Knipple win Rookie of the Year based on second-place votes if it sort of went that way? I don't know. But Igor Denham could definitely get more first-place votes. And then, hey, yo, so you've got 3 guys, I guess 4 guys, 4 guys with Queen, Fierce, Knipple, and Denham. All 30-35-1. I guess Fierce, Knipple, and Denham 35-1. Queen at 30-1. Edgecombe 25-1. Kind of with that tier there. And then it drops to Kasparonis, or Casper. I know people were saying his name right on the draft chat, but I can only say his name is Jack Konis. That's how how it reads. But our guy Kasparis 60-1 after Igor Denham at 35-1. So they're really thinking, you know, Denham's usage in Brooklyn. They're going to rely on that for sure, his point guard creating and stuff. And Sam sent me a little post that was, I feel like sometimes, again, like, I feel like Sam knows he can send me the right stuff just to get the reaction chat. But it's like, does he know I'm a degenerate D'Angelo Russell fan? Is that why he's sending me this one guy that's being comped to D'Angelo Russell? Or also, you know, it was a funny comp as well, too, in the moment. But no, I was going to say it was one of their second-round picks, but nope. The Nets only had first-round picks. It was the Senaf guy. Yeah, Ben Senaf. This kid right here, 6'6", 199. You know, we were kind of talking over a lot of the broadcast chat. Hey, yo, check the tapes. But Gavoni was apparently saying on the broadcast that he's a little D'Angelo Russell-y, kind of, you know, smooth ball handler, can get, you know, a little streaky with the three-point shooter, some of the defense stuff, and people were like, you know, is that the comp you want to be making as first-round pick? They're like, oh, a little D'Angelo Russell-y. But it's like, okay, you know, I'm the one guy you're going to send this to. It's like, okay, who's left on D'Angelo Russell Island? It's like, you got me over there, chat. I'm running around. There's footprints on D'Angelo Russell Island. There's signs of life. I'm deep into the forest at this point, bunker deep. But, you know, we're still hanging on for dear life. And there's nobody that is as smooth gliding with the basketball as D'Angelo Russell is. So, you know, one of the smoothest players in NBA history. So, you know, I don't know if Senaf is necessarily D'Angelo Russell there, chat. But, you know, as a sort of, if you're looking at those other factors, then, you know, it is what it is. But it's like, okay, you know, I'm actually, D'Angelo Russell comps, you're talking me into him, chat. I'm there. I'm drafting him. Let's run. Can we get D'Angelo Russell's career a second chance? Any day of the week, please. Let's run it back. But I don't even know where we were at on the. Oh, we were Rookie of the Year odds. Igor Denham, chat. I don't know. I could see he could definitely be like a 14-5 or 14, maybe like 7-7 type guy. And it's like, yeah, I guess sort of the Josh Giddey. I don't know if the Josh Giddey comps were made on the ringer guide here for Denham. And where did they have Denham as well, too? Hey, yo, chat. Shout out to Denham. But I feel like 16. Okay, so, you know, definitely. And the mocks, I mean, you know, are we going to kill him for taking a guy up higher in the mocks? Like, you know, the mock draft community is, you know, we're the ones to listen to. But I'll throw myself in there. I didn't do a mock draft this year, but we're out here talking, so. We're out here sitting on a couch pretending like we know stuff, so, you know, the pretend like we know stuff community, I guess that's the community that we're putting ourselves into there. Denham is the three-eyed raven of this draft.
He sees everything at all times. He is the most talented all-around passer in the draft. So 18% from three. Whoa. 16 points a game. I guess he can still find some buckets, though. But what really... Yeah, 6'8", 199. It's going to be Sean Livingston. Yeah, Giddey, Advia. Maybe if he goes a little less, primary playmaker. Kyle Anderson. Leonardo Bolmaro. Not Leonardo Barbosa. Leonardo Bolmaro in the mix. Giddey as well, too. So, yeah, again, I can see Giddey. Like, if you're drafting Giddey on the eighth pick in a draft, that's definitely a great situation. And if you're putting Giddey in Brooklyn right now, like, you go, okay, we got a point guard that can run the offense around anybody. And that was an interesting pick at the time because, obviously, but the lead sort of creation stuff, I guess even Fears was off the board at that point. But once you go, this whole tier of guys, and Murphy Boyles with the 3-point shooting, it's just again the sort of the personal gravitation and the personal strategy of the way we would draft players if that was our call. I don't know if a guy with that type of 3-point percentage would necessarily be on our list the same way at that spot, but the defense and the playmaking is obviously there for him for sure. But once you go Murphy Boyles, Malawach, Coward, Asenu, that's kind of a run of guys that you think there's a certain role that they're gonna play in the league, and you're confident in their ability to play high level certain skills. And we were ourselves talking about, does Malawach have a case to go 3 in Philly and be like a backup center sidekick guy to Joel Embiid if they need him to? Because I actually think Malawach could, with his set of specific, I have a particular set of skills. With his particular set of skills, he could be a top 5 player in this draft. I don't doubt that. But again, it is more specified. Whereas Denham is specified, and it's specified in a way that can lead an offense in a way that Malawach can't. He can anchor a defense maybe, but apparently that's not what, Brooklyn, they're not looking to anchor a defense. They have Cam Thomas. They want to run an offense. Hey, I guess maybe do they want to run an offense, but even Asenu, you're going to, Cowherd, Sam, obviously, big Cowherd fan, so Colin and Cedric, I think, both chat. But he's a guy that maybe he does turn into a little bit more with the playmaking, ball creation stuff, but you would assume that even in Memphis as well too, playing next to Ja and Gigi Jackson, Jalen Wells, that he's going to be a little bit more of an off-ball creator. So Derek Queen is honestly sort of the next swing of a guy who's like, and hey, you don't want to put this on because that's where we really start messing up, is the who can be more just based on sort of us projecting it out. And it really does, again, become sort of a hard work thing. Like Malawach is the type of guy that, again, could be a top 5 player in the draft just because he's such a great gym rat and such a great worker, and he's gonna just get better every year. And he's already, one of the younger players in the draft and has already managed to just get so much better at basketball anyways, that, again, you imagine that he projects his work ethic like this, and you keep projecting that skill set growth, that he's just going to be an amazing player. But, is he going to be, again, a lead guy? Like, what is the type of skill set going to look like? So if you're projecting now the skill set that these guys have, like, going forward, like Queen would be a guy that you could say had a little bit more lead guy type skills, even if you don't know he's going to quite get there at 13. Like, and again, it's because of the way they traded the pick as well too, that people are not a fan of that pick. But like Carter Bryant at 14 probably doesn't have the same sort of overall pop and upside as a guy like Derek Queen. But Carter Bryant to the Spurs may be a safer pick as well too, because you know what his skills are going to be on that team. Sorber, I think, has a little bit of a potential to be a little bit more. See, the thing was, I feel like he is an underrated younger player as well too. The verdict with two-way instincts and knack for using verticality and budding skill set offensively as a passer. Sorber does unique things for a young center. Adding a floor spacing component to his game would help mask some limitations. Still, he possesses the length, motor, and instincts to be competent defender as his offensive game evolves. Post-draft analysis, Sorber's stock remained stable over the past couple months despite his freshman season, ending with a foot injury. Yeah, you forgot about that as well too in there. But Many teams were drawn to his defensive instincts and productivity that led Sorber's unexpected one-and-done stay at Georgetown. He's expected to stay healthy come to fall when he'll join a Deep Thunder's roster that won't need him to contribute wide away. Solid direction. Yeah, basically, what you would say for him going to OKC. But with those defensive instincts as well, too, like, that's really great because I think his offensive game is for sure being refined, but you see the skill set and you see the spots that he's able to work from on the court, and you do see that floor spacing component that he is potentially going to be able to add. So I don't know if he's going to be a lead guy, but he's definitely like, okay, 15th pick in the draft could be a second or third option on, third option on teams, second-y. I don't know, is he going to get like LaMarcus Aldridge levels of actual production and one-on-one ability? But, again, LaMarcus Aldridge is, in like one conference finals or whatever. So could he get to LaMarcus Aldridge levels impact in the playoffs? I don't know if that's unreasonable for our guy Sorber. I think we saw him hit a couple of mid-range shots. It was like, oh, obviously Aldridge was doing that back in the day. But this Henson one is interesting, chat, because maybe it is just sort of the lack of general knowledge around him, his actual basketball skill set. But there's obviously definitely been some. Well, I was gonna say there's definitely been some jokes about them sort of reaching with the 16th pick, but I honestly haven't really seen any, chat. I'm trying to think of what maybe been the most. I guess you gotta log back on Instagram for a day, chat, get the updates and see what the accounts are saying. But I guess just sort of the media reaction as well too. It's not like people were out on this pick. So again, what are the people saying? But it's not like if you heard people talking, the only things that people were really saying was, and obviously, I feel like in 2025, there's a little bit, hopefully more of an effort to be less like outrageous and critical and, a little more contained with some of the draft stuff. But where there's a chance to be like, okay, is this obviously a move that doesn't make sense from whatever standpoint to draft this at 16 versus it was more like, okay, he played well at the combine. He's played, we just haven't seen a lot of him. Like, yeah, sure, maybe. Like, that's kind of, like, you I don't know. You just don't necessarily see that. And again, maybe it's the 2025-ness of the draft coverage, which is a good thing. Like, let's be optimistic about the 16th pick in the draft for sure. But also, I saw a post that somebody said, somebody was like quoting one of those. It was a Threads post or something that somebody texted me and said, Chinese Jokic at the 16th pick. I don't know if we can say that, chat. Hey, yo, but it was out there on the old Threadosphere as a thing that was being posted around. So, I don't know, the playmaking and the floor spacing ability is what's sort of being promoted, I guess, on offense, is like, that's what the overlapping skill set would be. But there is an intrigue with this pick. And I think Klingon is, in Portland, going to be a really foundational lockdown defender. And it's like, okay, Yang's sort of offensive impact next to that. Like, the Nurkic thing would have just never been able to work. And I guess, it's funny now to say, like, okay, they had to trade Nurkic to play with Jokic or for Jokic to sort of becoming who he is, because now that Jokic is who he is, like, the one of the great things about Jokic is, like, you think you could just pair anybody with him and then it just work, because, like, Jokic might be one of the only guys in the league now that, Nurkic's like, okay, we feel good. Nurkic in the Aaron Gordon role, it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And now Nurkic is, he's getting 3-pointers from Jokic. Like, Nurkic just kind of worked on that, and if he's in the dunker spot and has the space to operate, like, Gordon's probably still better at it. But it's definitely, definitely not difficult to imagine that they are there. Shout out to Rob Lowe. Just, chat. Is this who's he get the job working for? Where he's like, hanging out with the boss's wife? Hey, yo, was that the senator that Judd Nelson is working for? I forget. I don't know if we have to go back to the Wikipedia franchise or Wikipedia page for this movie. Read that plot again, but shout out Rob Lowe. He got in somebody's hot tub with somebody's wife, so they're just basic Rob Lowe moves in the 80s. It is what it is. But again, there's an interesting optimism for Yang. It seems like at this pick, I think he's a little bit maybe hadn't quite been matched on the big boards yet, some of that optimism. But I don't think people are against it. Let's see if he's in the 40s. It's not like it's like, oh wait, who's this guy that we've never seen before? He's at the combine and stuff. It's just maybe his mobility, and it's like, so it even says in the scouting report here, it's like, we invoke names like Alperen, Sengun, or Jokic. Again, Jokic was a second-round pick, so it's not surprising to be like, okay, we just go back and Jokic in the pre-evaluation process. Are we sold now on every type of player like Jokic? I guess, Derek Queen getting traded up for. But it's not necessarily surprising to say that these teams are not sold on that type of player totally quite yet. Or I guess maybe they are now as well with them trading up for Yang. But I guess what I'm saying is it wouldn't have been surprising if they had matched this sort of in the 40s with our old school thinking about the athleticism you need for that 5 spot. Because I'm going to call it old school now because maybe you don't need it. Yang in the top 16. Jokic has won multiple MVPs. Like, you don't need to be athletic as a big man. Overrated. Willing 3-point shooter, but not a consistent one. Ayo. As a dominant post player, he peppers defenders with bumps like a methodical boxer. Oh, chat peppers him up a little bit. Hey, yo. But you can see his balance and processing start to break down once these bigger and stronger defenders put an arm on him in an attempt to push him off. Yang moves his feet well. Oh, wait. But before we invoke the names of like Sengun or Jokic. So, hey, not even Sengun yet. He'll need to, yes, Sengun is obviously an all-star, but he'll need to be better, navigate contact from physical defenders. Interior defenders in the NBA are not wilting flowers. Yep, who just take a minor hit and give up. I don't know, chat. They'll flop around a little bit, but they hit and fight back. Yang is only 19 years old, but players often have this aggressive streak hardwired into their game by this point. Oh, chat, he's not tough enough? Hey, yo. Called out. Yang uses his massive hands to controllably hold the ball away from his body. Okay. You like that? Yang's impressive size and mobility were good enough to make him a rim deterrent in the CBA, but he will need to grow significantly on offense to compensate for challenges. So, a little Sengun, a little Luke Cornett, a little Agensis, little Tingus Pingus, chat. I don't know who this guy is, chat. Hey, yo. Well, kind of afraid to say that last name. I feel like that's going to get us in trouble. Agensis, can we get like a name or like a spelling on that, or where are we even at here on that page, chat? Which page was that? Hey, yo. Hey, where'd it go? What page were we just on? FanDuel? Mess around? Oh, Ringer Draft Grade. Here we go. Azinjis and Zenjis for the first name. Let's see if it's definitely the Basketball Reference. And Genzes? Maybe not, chat. Maybe our name is not around. Maybe, shout out Jay Cal. Maybe he's just watching exclusively international hoops to cook up this comp. But glimmers of ball skills and physicality packaged with an impressively large frame. But yeah, you're putting basically the offensive upside of Yang next to the defensive upside of Klingon, maybe long term, or you think that he can be a guy next to him and you play the Twin Towers, and it's just about the looks. You play the Twin Towers, or you play one at a time. You have your offensive look, you have your defensive look in there as well too. Because again, Aiden is definitely still a guy that you don't want to give up on as a player and an impactful guy, and definitely can still be a major piece of a team. But to get to reset the contracts in a little bit way to have Klingon and Yang both on more manageable deals is definitely nice. And like we're saying, they're just a little bit younger. The timeline is a little bit different as well too. So wait, can we pull up the positional? I guess I don't know why it's not loading again, chat. Oh well, back to Real GM. It is what it is. We like the depth charts. We like to see. So the Blazers are going to be, just in general, like I said, a team to watch. Maybe Sam's team of the year will be the Blazers again, chat. Was it officially? It was officially the Hornets last year, if I remember correctly. So it's due for the Blazers. It'll be, we know the formula, chat. It's the Hornets, the Blazers, whichever team Cam Reddish is on, maybe just the Hawks in general at one point. It'll be Hawks, Blazers, or Hornets. And it was pick one of those three, or a Cam Reddish team. Those are multiple choice for team of the year. So maybe we're up for Portland at this point to be team of the year, which I could definitely. I don't know if we'll just maybe that's the team we'll make the case for, Chad. Like, hey Sam, you want to be a Portland fan? This is the year to be a Portland fan right here. The year they trade Ayton, and I feel like Ayton could still be a nice piece for a team. You start going, what's the trade package stuff, but also, like, okay, what's the Ayton part of it? Where if he goes to a place, like, can he still, have ways to turn his, continue to elevate his career and elevate the team around him. Don't go to a place with snow where he has to like get shoveled out of his driveway. What was that story, chat, where it's like he couldn't go to the game because he didn't want to get shoveled out of his driveway, or his like street hadn't plowed yet? That obviously wouldn't have been in Phoenix. So, I forget, Portland? Dumb question, Jack. Do they get crazy snow up in Portland? I mean, sometimes just West Coast, you think, are they ever... Do they ever get it? Wait. I mean, definitely different kind of snow up in the West Coast, chat. Hey, yo. It is what it is. Especially up there, maybe in Portland, chat. But, you ever think, do they actually get that kind of weather up there? But, yeah, Ayton to the Kings, Ayton to the Grizzlies, Ayton to the Warriors. Like, the Warriors could use a little center, Chad. Again, he is a little expensive there. He would just start going at the cost of Ayton. But I could see, Butler at $54 million. See, Chet, I don't know. Hot take. Maybe overpaying. It's just the offseason. Once you get into the season, stuff gets a little different. But the offseason, maybe I'm just... And it's other teams. I'm like, hey, overpay everybody if you're another team. But... the tradability is just fun, maybe, especially now that some of the apron stuff is cleared up a little bit. Like, that's definitely for sure. Oh, chat, what happened to the Pluto? Hey, yo, we're just restarts all over the place tonight, chat. First the live stream, now the Pluto. Hopefully it's not the whole system. See, that's the thing about Pluto. It's like, it can be, is it us? Is it the TV? Is it the app? Like, if the Pluto app live stream just reshuts down, just fire it back up. Which I guess is what we did, chat. We keep complaining about it. But, a minute? Wait, I don't even remember exactly what time we were at here, chat. We passed Rob Lowe on the roof, for sure. Passed the naked guy in the hospital. Passed Rob Lowe in the hot tub. Maybe we just restart Rob Lowe in the hot tub. Clean up that storyline and see what's going on there, chat. Remember the beats of that one? Hey, yo. But, okay, wait. There's rooftop scene. Saxophone scene. Raging at the bar scene. 43. Okay, wait. We just hit pause. Where are we at? We're in an ad. So we'll just have to play the ads here for a second before we catch up. We got to skip to the end, play all the ads, and then skip back to where we want to go to. But, yeah, so... let's say Butler to Portland, chat. He really wants to start investing in the coffee company. Let's just go to Portland. Let's get a place set up. Let's get something started officially going. And this is going to be the city for me to continue my career. You really are leaning into the veterans at this point with Butler and Holiday. And, I guess if Ayton's in this deal, though, Butler a couple years is not too bad. Him and Holiday are still similar timeline as well, too. So you're not necessarily... making room for yourself. You're still in the first apron though at 155k per first space. Chad, we got big booms outside. Hey yo, is that the Rizzler out there? What do we got going on? Big Justice? Hey yo, 3 big booms, boom boom boom. What do we got going on? IT, get us a report. Get surveillance going on outside. I don't know. But, yeah, so we still got some first apron space with this Jimmy Butler trade, but we're going to need some more contracts to match. So maybe the Thibault is the move. Chat, this is kind of a fun move, honestly. I'm into this. Maybe because, I guess, the long-term contracts of it is going to be the interesting part to figure out. And we should also, did we mention I don't even know, part 1, part 2, I don't even know what we mentioned at this point, chat, but... we're at halftime right now for the WNBA game. Mercury versus the Liberty. I think we've already mentioned that as well in part 2. The Mercury up 18 at the half. An incredible first half performance. Let's do it. We got to give them respect, Chad. If it was the NBA, we'd be going halftime. We'd be looking at the stats. We'd be figuring out what's going on. And we'd be, wondering why we're not watching injuries. IT, pull up a live stream of the Sky versus the Valkyrie. Hey, yo, and see what's going on. Get our VPN to redirect us to San Francisco or Chicago so we can watch this game. How many rebounds does Angel Reese have? 2 points, 7 rebounds. Hey, yo, 1 for 5 for the field. Not great. But Kia Nurse is carrying, and they are only down by 5. So, you know, Angel Reese will carry in the second half with the scoring. Kayla Thornton, though, continues to be awesome. 4 for 8 from the field tonight. 15 points is crazy. And then we also got Connecticut Sun versus Seattle. I was like, wait a second, am I looking at a different day? What happened here? But busy WNBA day, chat. And the Dream pushed the Link to overtime. Hey, yo. 96 to 92. Collier with 26. Courtney Williams, 8 assists, 0 turnovers. Hey, yo, chat. Halliburton level stuff there. Or, you know, Halliburton, Courtney Williams level stuff. But Collier, 26 and 6. McBride, 18. And then Courtney Williams, 16 again. So 16 and 8. Oh, that's 26 and 6 assists for Collier. So 26, 7 and 6. Hey, yo, okay. Collier, really cooking. And then not too much on the bench. Is that going to be a problem for the Link in the playoffs, chat? Not too much on the bench, but the Dream, I mean, that starting 5 just continues to roll. I mean, and the minutes relied is crazy. You know, not a ton. Tiahina Papau, chat, 10 minutes tonight. 25 minutes from Nas Hillman, but 18 from Jones, 16 from Griner, 17 from Gray, 14 from Canada, 15 from Howard, chat. 6 for 7 for the line from 8 for 10 for the free throw line from Alicia Gray. Free throw merchant Alicia Gray, chat. We've got our WNBA free throw merchant Alicia Gray, 8 for 10 for the free throw line. Brianna Jones, 1 for 1. Brianna Jones maybe a little more needs to be a free throw merchant, it looks like. Maybe. But basically, you know, Howard, Gray, 4 for 14, 4 for 11 for the field. But that's fun. And then, hey, yo, Chad. Sun versus the Storm. Hey, yo. I couldn't think of the Seattle name there for a second. Storm dominating. You love to see it. We got the Storm as like a little mistress team for the WNBA, Chad. Our aces, it's not looking great. So I'll turn into Skip Bayless. We'll just start saying every team is our team. It is what it is. Oh, there's Emilio Estevez just sitting up, popping the collar, getting ready to go. So we're at the 49-minute mark. Once again, the rain is pouring on Emilio Estevez. We were around this time when it restarted, so we are close enough. But Pluto does do that sometimes. We're on that first ad break. It'll just, or, you know, that early, just on an ad break, I guess, in general. It'll restart. But Diggins, 16. Whoa, 5 for 8, chat. Possessed tonight. Agumake, 6 points. And then Gabby Williams, 9 points. Shout out. But Tina Charles was 7, leading the way. Hey, yo, chat, 1 for 8 from the field, so there's definitely some free throws in there. It is what it is. But 38 to 52 is the Storm playing well. And they're 9 and 6, so they're doing okay. I think we should just, here, let me look at the standings real quick. Since we're just updating ourselves, we may as well just commit to the update. The Link at 13 and 2, the Mercury at 11 and 3. Okay, yeah, Liberty at 11 and 3, Mercury at 11 and 4, and Dream at 10 and 6. So, Storm 9 and 6, Fever 8 and 8, Mystics 8 and 8, chat. Okay, Mystics are almost a playoff team. You got Valkyrie, Aces, Spark, Sky, Wing, and Sun. Chat. Who would have thought the Aces would have been on the bottom half of the league this year? You know, delusionally, chat. I guess I would have gone the other way and assumed that we would have been a sleeper team to be more of a top team. It's like, well, hey, Asia Wilson's back. Jewel Lloyd is, you know, additive and all this different stuff. But, you know, the Kelsey Plum thing is really crazy. I mean, you know, they're the next best team in the rankings, 5 for 11. It's a little bit of a different situation. At least the Aces are closer to being a playoff team at this point than they're, you know, right on that outside of not. But Sparks, Sky, Wing, and Sun are the next couple of teams. I guess you got the Sun at 2 and 13. Whoa! Hey, yo. What's the 2026 mock for the WNBA? It is what it is. And Kirby just showing up soaked to the party, chat. Hey, yo. Kirby is, you know, definitely takes a Definitely takes a lot of shots. Kirby is really putting up some threes for Dale Bieberman in this one. It is what it is. But the back to the apartment thing is, this is about, I guess, I don't know necessarily, was she with a guy going into the party? I forget about that. The roommate, just one line, just boom, chat, delivered us, half court, bang, swish. But, yeah, for Bieberman, at least Kirby gets back into the mix. So, what does he get, like, insecure about wealth and money? Or something like that? Just a deep whiff of the pillow? Hey, yo, chat. Don't let the roommate see ya. Oh, too late. It is what it is. But, you know what you're doing. You're being a little sneak. Shout out Emilio Estevez. But, yeah, and the Mystics being in the mix was kind of fun to see there with the younger team. But, anyways, chat. Yeah, so we got back to the trade machine. Butler, Ayton, and you don't want Advia. You don't want to give up Advia if you're important. Obviously. Hey, yo, chat. Ba-da-ba. Get IT to hit the drum shot. But maybe Rob go the double center trade again. I guess this would be maybe where Matisse Thybulle. Maybe that is where he goes into the mix. I mean, that gets you 47 to 54. So that's pretty close. What did Jimmy Butler get traded for again? It was Wiggins and was it one pick? I mean, it was a little bit of a debate. He was requesting out. We knew his time there was definitely at an end. It seemed like his value was at a little bit low. Like, is his value back a little bit? Or did the playoffs back down? I don't know. It's kind of still in the same. But just to kind of set the parameters for what the going rate is, chat. Ayo. For Jimmy Butler. A 5-team deal. Oh, man. Golden State. Okay. The Pistons traded KJ Martin to the Jazz. Golden State traded Dennis Schroeder, Lindy Waters, and a second to the Pistons. Kyle Anderson, Andrew Wiggins, and a first to the Heat. The Heat traded Cash in the second round to the Raptors. The Heat traded Cash and Josh Richardson to the Jazz. The Raptors traded Davion Mitchell to the Heat. The Jazz traded PJ Tucker to the Raptors. So Golden State basically did trade Schroeder, Waters, Kyle Anderson, Wiggins, a first and a second. So they basically just needed the 4 contracts to make it work. 3 players, 4 contracts. I mean, shout out Lindy Waters. But trading him to the Pistons is I feel like maybe most of the Lindy Waters minutes that I feel like I've seen were him on the Warriors. So it's not surprising for them to go 4 for 1 or 3 for, obviously, 3 for 1 would be more manageable. But I guess if they have to go 4 for 1, it wouldn't be super surprising. In Portland, would they have to give up a first to get Jimmy Butler? Or is Ayton and Thybulle good enough? But you're only 47 to 54. You're only $6 million off. So you could throw in, and I guess they maybe with the tax base, they may be able to take some of this back as well too. Oh, chat, so that works right there. Ayton and Thybulle for Butler. So if you got some picks here, you go, do you go Ayton Thybulle and your 27 first, do a little Pelicans move? Your 27 first for Jimmy Butler? Hey, yo, and you've got Jimmy Butler, Drew Holiday, Jeremy Grant, Donovan Clingan. So, yeah, you Clingan, Butler, and Grant as your front line. Maybe that's the best front line in the NBA. And then Holiday and Scoot, Holiday and Kamara, Holiday and Shaden Sharp. Basically, whatever the backcourt is that works out. But Clingan, Jimmy Butler, and Jeremy Grant is not a bad front court, chat. It's not a bad front court. Unfortunately, in the West, I guess, I'm thinking it's going to have to be an older version of Jimmy Butler. Not an older version now, but a previous version of Jimmy Butler to get them back into this team is contending. Maybe not quite the playoff mix, but the contending mix for sure. So I don't know if they get Chris Murray kind of thrown into this trade as well too. I just don't know what Butler's value is at 35. 54 million left plus for a couple years. Dupe Reith, chat. Dwop Reith, another center, 6'11". Maybe not. Repair. Do they give up on their guy Rupert? Right, Rayan Rupert, and then Sissoko as well too. They've got. So I guess this trade is successful either way. And then maybe Golden State just goes, yeah, we are good The first round pick. Whoops. We lost that one. We didn't mean to do that. But the foundation of that is interesting. If Portland had one more interesting piece to throw in there, or, Kamara to Golden State would be a real way to save Golden State. I feel like Kamara is kind of safe in Portland right now. Chris Murray is an interesting one if you think Butler is really going to take over that role, but I guess you got Avdia still as well too. Mark Wilchat. Okay, just for the sake of it, Chris Murray's in the deal. Hey, yo. Now you don't have to give up a future pick. Chris Murray's a cornerstone, Chad. Chris Murray can be a 3-and-D guy around Steph for the next year and a half as Steph is in his prime, and then he can be there for whenever the next iteration of the team is as well, too. Aiton Thibault and Chris Murray for Jimmy Butler. Oh, the Warriors way worse. -3 wins. Aiton not carrying that way, Chad. The Warriors would have to be really high on his upside, I guess, and then think. Immediately, could he impact with Steph, but also the couple of years just be a foundational piece? But that makes a lot of sense for the expiring contract to bring back the sort of veteran-y type guy as well, too. I guess, Durant was never in conversation for Portland, Chad. I guess the Western Conference for him to go. Could this have been a fun team for him to go to, though? Like, same with Giannis, Like, what's Portland doing? Why is Giannis, why are they not in the conversation for these type of guys? Because they do have a ton of nice players. And again, maybe it is just the pick stuff that they don't have. They have their own 27, a couple of 27, 28 swap rights, 28 via Orlando, no protections, a 29, 30 as well, too. So, they're not necessarily like with the whole warehouse, the offshore account of future draft picks, but they just have a ton of stash of guys that they could really try to focus something into. So Aiton Thibault and Chris Murray, to me, is not bad. You'd almost do, is there another Chris Murray option? No, I think it'd have to be Chris Murray. I think that might be perfect. And then, Jimmy Butler, his coffee shop, bring it to the team, welcome it to the area, and let him lead the team after that. But, yeah, for Grant as well, too, as an asset. I mean, Avdia could really get you a couple of firsts. If you were really thinking. Avdia to... I mean, where do you want Avdia to go? But, oh, yeah, no. And Durant as well, too. Like we were saying. On this Portland team, man, Giannis, like, they just have a, like... Could they get Giannis for... Scoot, like, depending on the guy, nobody's not going to be on the table. But it also becomes a conversation of who do you want to pair him with. But also, Avdia as like a role guy is a perfect type of role guy. And again, Klingon as a defensive center might be a perfect type of defensive center. And now Kamara is kind of like a wing defensive two-way guy as well, too, that can be trusted in that spot. So you've got at least 4 kind of trusted defense and effort type players that are always going to be, at least messing around for you. Is not a bad type of spot. But, and then, yeah, the veterans as well, too, to help balance that out. So, Butler, Jeremy Grant, Drew Holiday, Denny Avdia, those 4 guys, and then Scoot, I guess. So, those 5. Robert Williams in the mix as a center, a 6th man, maybe. But who would be, so you wouldn't have a 5 in that lineup. You'd have Scoot and Drew Holiday and Jimmy Butler as your small forward, Avdia as your power forward, and then it would have to be Klingon. We were saying you put Klingon out there as well too. So 21, I guess he's a little bit younger than I was thinking as well. But that's the fun outline of a trade, is Butler to Portland. That's for sure, chat. Minnesota, I don't know what they would have to offer for Portland. That'd be super interesting. I mean, again, Randall, if they just want to keep taking swings on veterans, the pay up price for him, like we'll buy low, invest in Randall, and then try to flip him into something else. And maybe it works again, maybe it doesn't. But yeah, 1 year, $30 million, obviously on the player option. Haven't seen anything about that at this point, so probably gonna wait it out a second and then make a move after that. But I don't know if that package can be traded for. And Gobert would be an interesting one. 35 million. Gobert would be an interesting one, Chad. Gobert. Do you do this if you're Minnesota? Do you feel like you want to be... Do you really want to try to get a step closer with this title team in the roster? Or do you want to keep going? Like, the thing about the Towns... The Towns trade factor to it was the fact that they were doing it as a books move. Obviously that's a little James Harden-esque where you trade James Harden because you don't want to pay him the max. But it's a move that they were making because they just knew that they weren't they knew they weren't going to be able to afford all of the players on the team going forward, and as Anthony Edwards' contract grows and all that different stuff. But the idea that you just have to keep and to reset the roster like that with Ayton as a shorter contract, the idea that you could still get some center minutes as well too, and then the idea that Gobert is not necessarily a final five guy for you at all times makes it interesting in a trade piece where, if you're a team, you're always going to talk yourself into that defensive impact that he's going to bring to the lineup. But if you're Minnesota trading him away, you know that, you've had playoff runs with him where you've been really successful, so you could talk yourself into the fact that the trade has worked. Edwards has gotten great playoff experience, but maybe now you have a chance to reset it in a different way. And here, Chad, I'm actually just looking at the other view here, and I'm realizing that we'll go a little smaller on the camera angle there. Oh, Chad. Hey, yo, IT, put that back. There we go. I don't know if we messed it up too bad or not, but okay, we'll try this again. Just a little bit smaller. Okay, there we go. We're still here, chat, in the corner, hanging out, having a good time. But yeah, so I'm kind of into this as well too. Gobert, I think the contract is definitely becoming more manageable. That's for sure. In the 30s is not too bad. Maxing out at 38. We can waive him and eat the 70 mil if we want. Hey, yo. Or we can just have Gobert minutes. But again, if you're Portland, you're thinking, are we going to win a title? Like, Portland might actually be the perfect Gobert team, honestly. That might be the perfect Gobert team where you're thinking, we need veterans, we need smart, like, replacing him with Ayton for the next couple of years. And then again, you're resetting the contracts if you're Portland. So the problem would be, chat. Second apron space, they got a little bit. So they can aggregate guys now in a trade. Shout out to Minnesota. They really unlocked a whole new world of possibilities. But who would have thought that Ayton for Gobert could actually be a 1-for-1 deal? Just straight up. And I actually honestly don't think Minnesota... Yeah, I think the Blazers would definitely obviously get more wins out of it, for sure. I mean, Gobert brings a level of defense that in the regular season is going to anchor you in a way that we've seen provide a winning impact. But I think what that would mean salary-wise for Minnesota would be really great, and then how they could continue to build around Edwards in the next couple of years would really be awesome. So you've got Ayton, you would have Ayton off the books next year at 35. Whoa! Whoa! Excuse me, chat. Whoa! Oh, back to back, chat. Hey, yo. But hopefully that wasn't a sign the Thunder are going to win the title next year, back to back. Oh, hey, yo. Somebody stop them. But Randall, you'd have Randall, free agent, and then I guess Naz Reid, they're probably going to... Well, he's going to sign his player option, but maybe he's going to decline it and then get a contract is what he'll end up doing this offseason. If he already hasn't announced. I don't know what the deadline is for all that stuff as well, too. And then we like the bench guys for Minnesota for sure. But this is interesting, Chad. This is interesting. Because it can aggregate, could they do a little 2-for-2 swap and try to maybe, boost it up a little bit for Minnesota? They might actually have to do that to get Gobert. It would be, I guess, again, like Rupert or Chris Murray as well, too. But, again, who's not going to love the 3-and-D ability of, Chris Murray, Chad? We're pro Murray twins on the REMINGTOM pod here. So do they have another 3? Luka Garza going back the other way, chat. Leonard Miller would be interesting. Jalen Clark, I feel like they kind of want his defensive stopper ability, though, just in case. Or Portland takes the Conley contract. Conley and Gobert contracts for Ayton and Chris Murray. I don't know why Portland is bringing in both those guys. Otherwise, it would have to be, Minnesota sends a pick as well too out in the deal for Portland. But Aiden for Gobert, I think, is close. I think it's close because of the 1-year deal for DeAndre Ayton. Shout out. And, Edwards and Ayton, maybe some of Ayton's offensive mobility can be interesting around Edwards as well, too. So, chat and shout out, I shout out whatever you want to say, but Judd Nelson, Ali Sheedy. I mean, Judd Nelson is trying to make his way in the political world, and unfortunately he's picking up some bad political habits. Hey, yo, the extracurricular activities of a young congressman / senator, chat. It seems like he's just, learning from we want to say the best, but learning from those above him. Hey, yo, what do we mean by that? In politics, you never know. But professionally and recreationally, I don't know who he's learning from above him ways. But, yeah, there may actually be, the moral of the story is, there may actually be a Gobert trade out there. There may be maybe we look for another one. Like, Minnesota would be good too. You know what, chat? I guess the 3-year deal of it is interesting. 1 year, if Gobert on it expiring, San Antonio, let's run the Frenchman, chat. Hey, yo. I don't know. We meant that as a compliment, so don't cancel us for saying that. But the Wemby-Gobert combo could actually be kind of nuts. So, Gobert, get back to us on that expiring contract. How old's Gobert going to be then, chat? See, he's 35. I don't know. Fountain of youth playing with Wembanyama. I mean, he was cooking in that one-on-one clip against Wemby that 1 year. So when Wemby was like, Wemby was like 16 or a teenager when that happened. But yeah, for hey, yo, Chess, sorry. Emilio Estevez just yelling into the doorbell. Very distracting there for a second. But shout out Emilio Estevez, really trying in this movie. It is what it is. But yeah, it's a much more manageable deal, obviously, than it used to be. And I think a team could really talk themselves into their defensive impact. And then now, even more so, the point was like, okay, if we trade for Gobert, are we now also like Beal-wise, like locked into Gobert for the next couple of years? But you could also see that there's a way to flip him as well too. And we should mention Demi Moore, chat. How can we watch St. Elmo's Fire and not talk about Demi Moore? Because especially now, chat. Hey, yo, St. Elmo's Fire, a luminous plasma field created in an electric field? Huh. I guess I didn't know it was a thing. Also a steakhouse in Indianapolis. I guess I probably walked past St. Elmo's Steakhouse, didn't even realize it, chat. But no, 1985, coming of age film. Joel Schumacher, we should mention. I mean, we could go through the whole Brat Pack check. Hey, yo. I feel like, yeah, Rob Lowe was definitely, like we mentioned, maybe that was part one. The reason what was part one, part two at this point, but the reason I think one of the reasons this movie was recommended to us by somebody at work was Rob Lowe's in the movie, of course. 80s movie, Rob Lowe, young Rob Lowe. But I think this person is also a sneaky there's a sneaky Emilio Estevez crush there. A couple of movies have been recommended, and it's like, there's a common thread here in these movies. Emilio Estevez. Really giving us you're really just kind of telling us to go through the Emilio Estevez filmography and give it a watch, which I'm not against. But I didn't realize of the guys in the crew that would be like, your secret crush from back in the day. But exposed, chat, exposed. So Emilio Estevez, you got somebody, you got one crush out there, but somebody crushing on you from the restaurant, I guess. But Demi Moore, and what I was gonna say, this year obviously in the conversation for the Oscar for her role in what was the name of that movie? The Substance, I think. The Substance, something like that. But her as the sort of once gone, I guess I've never seen the movie, but as a, hey, yo, shout out to me more, but as what you hear from the part as sort of the older actress trying to find a younger version of herself, dealing with the substance stuff as well. And not to say that she's, sort of the looking for a younger version of herself. Obviously, she is the younger version of herself in this movie, but sort of the substancy stuff. Again, not having seen the performance, but you imagine, and I guess it's not like, is she coked up in the substance? She's obviously on substances in the substance, or in this movie. But the substance itself, I guess, spoiler alerts for the substance if you haven't seen it. Yeah, uses a black market drug that actually literally just creates a younger version of herself. And I guess the younger version of herself is Margaret Qualley? Oh, Chad, I didn't even realize that. Ooh, the substance might get washed. The problem is I also, Conan had that open in the Oscars where he's like doing sort of the substance spoof, kind of emerging out of her the same way that I think it happens in the movie. So it's like, oh, yeah, there's some brutal scenes there with her transforming. But, yeah, Margaret Qualley, younger Demi Moore, it's a good casting for sure. But it's like, okay, is this like one of the prelude parts, chat, for Demi Moore in that sort of line? Because if you go through her career as well too, and I think there's other Demi Moore movies that are we gonna watch Ghost? I think a spoiler alert, chat, but I think Ghost is 1990. Where is filmography at on here? Is it a separate sub-page? Career, established career? Hey yo, hiatus in sporadic roles, independent films, moving through. Is there like an Ashton Kutcher section in here? Shout out. But, acting credits, I guess, is just literally called that. Here we go. Demi Moore filmography. And I think July will be... Ghost might be like next week, honestly. What are we looking at here? 1990? What day? Whoopi Goldberg? Hey, yo, chat. July 13th. So we're close. A couple of weeks, chat. We will be here for the... Wait, 1990? 35? We can do math, chat. I guess, 5 years from 1980. But, 1985. But we got the 35th watch along for Ghost in a couple of weeks. But... I mean, St. Elmo's Fire as, I guess, sort of the breakout role. No Small Affair? Maybe as well, too, chat. Blame It on Rio. Hey, yo. Maybe we throw Blame It on Rio in the watch list. Young Doctors in Love, uncredited intern role. And then Parasite, a 1982 science fiction horror film. Produced and directed by Charles Barrett as well. But, yeah, I mean, the 90s, up and down. But you got Ghost, A Few Good Men, Indecent Proposal, Disclosure, Scarlet Letter Now and Then, the Juror, The Humpback of Notre Dame, chat. You got that in there. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And then Striptease, of course, 1996. I mean, 1996 just loaded, chat. Beavis and Butthead Do America. Hey, yo. 96 as well. G.I. Jane, 97. Iconic at this point for other reasons. But, in that movie as well. I guess some of the 2000 stuff we would need to catch up on a little bit more. But I mean that run from Ghost, Few Good Men, Indecent Proposal, it's a pretty strong early 90s, chat. And I guess Demi Moore is definitely a little bit more. Well, Ghost is a little bit more Swayze and Demi Moore, and I guess that's kind of the thing about the substance as well too. And I guess if we went through and maybe looked at some of her more, the cuts. And there, I guess Striptease is her, and G.I. Jane as well, too. So, in the late 90s, yeah, of course, she does move into, she is the lead, carrying a movie. But it's a little bit different as well, to the level that she... Because I think, Ghost and Indecent Proposal are definitely, again, we could cover it more when we're doing the Indecent Proposal watch-along, but... Or the Ghost watch along. And we probably will do, in a couple of years, chat. I guess, what are we, 96 or 97? It was 90 or 91. What was the year, chat? We're way off. 93. So 2028 will be 35 years. Oh, chat, good. We're a couple of ways. We may have to do a random, spin the wheel, put the non-anniversary movie, put a whole bunch of non-anniversary movies into a bucket and just, pick one and see what happens. Because I think we're going to do that this summer with old games as well too. Spoiler alert, is maybe we'll do a night where we have a bunch of old game options in a bucket and then pick one out. Because I was thinking, do we just go okay, this night of the week we're gonna watch old finals games, but between sometimes I just want to watch old games. Sometimes it wants to be an old finals game. Sometimes maybe an old football game. Sometimes maybe old college basketball or old college football. It just depends. So we'll kind of just put them all in there as options. Some of the anniversaries of some of the bigger championship sporting events from what would be, again, anniversary time for this year. And then maybe we'll knock out a couple this summer. But there's also, we could do the MJ versus LeBron deep dive like we've talked about. Just watch a bunch of MJ games and, get our young little NBA minds caught up for the 90s NBA hoops there with the MJ storylines. Really get a good amount of film watched. We'll never be able to experience it in the moment, of course, but, at least watch as many games as you can, log the tape, we saw LeBron. I mean, you got to do what you can, chat. Of course, that's all you can. So, chat. Ali Sheedy and Andrew McCarthy alone in the apartment. Ali Sheedy not feeling great after, Judd Nelson's extracurricular activities. So this can only go one way. It is what it is. But yeah, again, sort of, Few Good Men, obviously stack cast, Indecent Proposal. She is definitely, of course, electric in that, but Robert Redford's also, of course, incredible. And then, Woody Harrelson's awesome. So it's like, okay, there's a definite trio, going on in that movie. And then same with Ghost as well, too. Like Whoopi Goldberg. You got Swayze dealing with Whoopi Goldberg and Demi Moore in that movie. And then, some sidekick guys as well, too. So definitely, her a little bit more ensemble-y in this one as well, too. And then what's the Dan Aykroyd movie that's in there? Not the Butcher's Wife? Disclosure. Now and Then. No, chat. Which one is it? I feel like it's 90. Maybe it was 80s in here. Not About Last Night. One Crazy Summer. No. They took it off the Wikipedia, chat. It's not able to be on there. It wasn't the Scarlet Letter. No. That one, though, I think also she nominated for many awards, chat, across many different types of award shows. Some Razzies, some Oscars, some Golden Globe. There's just all kinds of awards for Demi Moore. But to be honest, again, sometimes the Razzie type actor is iconic. She never did. She do? I think she did do a movie with Michael Douglas. Now I think about it, I think there was maybe a 2000. Let's see here. Oh, do we go to the ChatGPT or the Google for this one, chat? Well, we don't need a ChatGPT for everything. It is something. Whatever happened to the just good old Google search, chat? Demi Moore, Michael Douglas. Oh, movies. Oh, that's just Disclosure, chat. Okay, we'll just go back and rewatch. Okay, Disclosure, 59% on Rotten Tomatoes. So 94. Okay, so we have time to catch up on that one before Indecent Proposal is 93. Chat. I guess Disclosure doesn't have Robert Redford in it. I don't think so. Who else? Oh, Donald Sutherland. I guess not necessarily the same role, but as sort of the other guy maybe in this movie. But again, obviously iconic role and iconic. Just Michael Douglas in the 90s, continuing his run. So I guess kind of makes sense that they would overlap in that type of way. So that I was like, okay, they definitely did do a movie together, but I guess I don't even remember what the point of that it was gonna be, chat. But yeah, I guess shout out for them working together in Disclosure. It is what it is. But yeah. So and Ali Sheedy as well too. I feel like we need to do a little bit more of an Ali Sheedy run for her movies and catch up. St. Elmo's Fire. Fear, chat. Get Fear on the watch list. Get that one in there. Home Alone 2. Yeah, maybe we need to go back through the Home Alone franchise outside of the first one. Make sure Christmas week, just a Home Alone week, wouldn't be a bad thing. The Ali Sheedy filmography, chat. Not a ton. I'm just like, okay. Thrown it. I mean, and that's like, okay. Oh, The Breakfast Club, of course. So 85. I mean, hey, yo, chat. I mean, that's all you need. A couple of iconic movies, you're there. I mean, 85 Ali Sheedy, between St. Elmo's Fire and Breakfast Club. I mean, how much more iconic can you get from that? But I guess low-key, chat, St. Elmo's Fire probably more on the watch, even as the newer discovery than The Breakfast Club. It is what it is. Not necessarily saying that The Breakfast Club is obviously a much more iconic teen movie, I would say. Not even I would say. It just is. But it may be the teen movie of the 80s. So, you land that role, everybody's just iconic for that. But to back it up with this as well too, chat, this is like the own version of the Kirk Cousins RG3. It's just like, okay, obviously I'm taking RG3 second overall with The Breakfast Club. We're taking that role. But also we'll take St. Elmo's Fire as well too in the fifth round, just in case. We'll get some iconic Pluto TV Tubi runs in here as well too. But outside of that, not a ton of names that just jump off at the screen as like, okay, The Pickle, 1993, a comedy film produced, written, and directed by Paul Mazursky, telling the story of a former director whose recent string of flops have forced him to make a commercial piece that is artistically uninspired Chat. These type of films, they can really go either way. They have to be really funny and really well written for sure. But man's best friend, one night stand, highball, okay, high art, 1983. We really went a dramatic indie route there, or whatever you want to say, for a second. Happy Here and Now, A Good Night to Die, Shelter Island. Okay, not quite Shutter Island, chat. I don't know if that was accidentally like picking up the wrong script or whatever. But 2024, Bratz was the last movie. A documentary film about the Brat Pack. Okay, so X-Men Apocalypse, Scott Summers' Teacher, and X-Men Apocalypse. Hey, yo, chat, I guess we need to rewatch the 2016 X-Men as well, too. But, definitely a little more sporadic with the roles picked here as of late. So, shout out to 85 Ali Sheedy. Obviously, is there like a NBA comp of a player that's just like, okay, what was the one year where they were like MVP and then, I don't know, is she the MVP of 85? I don't know, she's definitely first team all 85, unless, you're just saying that maybe more people had higher peaks because of the Breakfast Club and then just in the 80s had higher peaks. But, just for that year anyways. I was like, we look into 85 for music and see what it is. But, she's got to be right up there for best years anyways for that kind of double performance. But, yeah, obviously, everybody in this movie, pretty iconic. And is that really the way that these kind of have to work? Because, again, you get low in The Outsiders. Like, Sheedy, again, was Breakfast Club in 85 as well, too. I guess War Games. And then, 83 Bad Boys. She's in that as well, too. So, Bad Boy, early 80s, just pretty good for Ali Sheedy in general. But is that kind of... Because if they were trying to remake this movie now, like we always, of course, the conversation is about movie stars and all this different stuff. And, you can always look at, like, The Breakfast Club, I think, is an interesting one for post-career for everybody in that, obviously. See what happened? Another Emilio Estevez as well, too, chat. Judd Nelson, I guess, just everybody just rerunning back this movie in 85. It is what it is. But, I gotta be honest, I have not seen The Breakfast Club in a long time. I feel like this one's definitely on Pluto and stuff, for sure. I guess we could look it up right now and see where it's streaming. But just the idea of it being on... I guess, is Pluto the new cable? It's like, oh, is it on Pluto? Is it just running on TV? But, yeah, it's definitely not getting the runtime of, like, Beverly Hills Cop right now. But, yeah, you get the, similar ensemble cast. But, you get them all at earlier points in their career where, obviously this type of stuff becomes the star-making role. So if we were recasting it now, we could recast it. I feel like we go, okay, what are the younger stars? We go, like, is it Chalamet and Zendaya? Is it just the Dune cast? Florence Pugh? Just are we making a romantic comedy or a coming of age comedy with the Dune cast and just trying to make them in post college professionally? Like Timothy Chalamet is now working for a Democratic college kid now working for a Republican senator. Like, I don't know which role Chalamet's taking. I feel like Chalamet's probably the Judd Nelson in this movie, or maybe he's either the Judd Nelson or the McCarthy. But again, it's just a different thing where maybe he's more the Rob Lowe after The Outsiders as well too. Again, I'm not gonna tell you what the 80s were like, these guys for the actors, but it just seemed like it was more like you get them earlier in their careers where can Netflix cast and maybe it's more the TV shows now as well too, right? It's like the Netflix shows, like maybe the Stranger Things cast was this back in the day, where again it's more, still all the coming of age stuff, but it's still maybe in 2025 or the 20 teens and all that stuff, when just in general as well too, there was a conversation about the state of comedy and it kind of moved into an underground phase, and then it definitely the mainstream numbers were definitely there and are to some degree, but definitely wasn't necessarily translating into the movies, into the on the screen stuff the same type of way. So definitely the teen stars and stuff were made probably in the thriller and the horror and the different type of that's definitely been the more of the vehicle for that type of thing than necessarily the comedy route. But that's like the only one that I can think of that And again, this is my lack of knowledge of TV shows as well too. But even, some of the other prestigious stuff is more, obviously adult actors, but maybe even a little more, like Game of Thrones. You're not necessarily, you're getting some sort of breakout teen stars. Arya Stark, obviously, I forget her name, something like Macy Williams or something, but she's, she was obviously major for that role. But you're getting more, adult actors, breakout stars, but just not the same type of, even the next generation thing, Brat Packy type of kid stars that you get in this way. So, is there a way to put all of the stars in the movie? Because there was a run there in the teens as well too, when Netflix was really pumping out sort of the teen rom-com-y type stuff, and you're getting like the Noah Centineo run there on Netflix for a second. Like, he really popped up as a star. I mean, I feel like Glenn Powell was doing a couple of those rom-coms as his rise was starting as well too. But it was never like all of the, Henry Golding, Glenn Powell, and Noah Centineo are just all in the movie together, hanging out after college, just career stuff happening, asking questions about life. A little more condemned that. Oh, Joe! There's the Thunder's third title right there. Unbelievable. But okay, Emilio Estevez has now stalked Dale Biberman out to the cabin, and is just hanging out. I guess he from beforehand, but just a bunch of tough beats. Still ends with some confidence and some swagger, which is nice for our guy Emilio Estevez. He'd like to see a decent ending, but still a bunch of tough beats for our guy here. So again, just an interesting style of movie to think, how would you remake this as well too? Because Florence Pugh is an interesting one. Like, I feel like Florence Pugh could be a little Demi Moore-ish with the types of roles they're able to pull off. I feel like Florence Pugh is a really, hot take, a really great actress. Demi Moore, we're not trying to say she's not. But I'm just like, could Florence Pugh win an Oscar before? Has Demi Moore actually won one? I don't think she's actually won one. She did get nominated, but like, could Florence Pugh win one? I think that's definitely very much in the books, and maybe some of the more dramatic acting, she can really tap into that stuff. But again, just like the real sort of powerful sexual energy that Demi Moore can provide, but then also some of the crazy chaos roles, like we're saying as well too, where like, oh, Demi Moore's on coke in St. Elmo's Fire. She's, taking black market young youth, tapping into drugs in The Substance or whatever. Like, could Florence Pugh in 30 years beat Demi Moore in The Substance? Like, I definitely could think that is definitely a possibility for sure. So who else was in Dune, Chad? I feel like Dune might be that. Dune, again, maybe just it's more drama type stuff. But this one feels, and again, like all this stuff feels pretty remakeable for 2025. Like, obviously you can change the comedic beats as needed to be adjusted for the times, but it feels like, Chad, maybe just need a, better person monitor. But it feels like a lot of the stuff, especially in St. Elmo's Fire, like, I guess, I'm trying to think if there's any, I guess there's maybe the Rob Lowe character obviously has, there's some moments, but, there's not like a ton of, oh, is this a way we have to, I'm trying to think, is there, and again, the way you watch movies in the background in 2025 as well too, do I know every beat of dialogue where it's like, okay, this joke is like made to this group of people, as like, you're probably not rewriting this joke in a 2025 version as well too. But it feels like, again, a lot of the beats of the movie, and even, the guy working for the set is like, oh, this kid is having to deal with sort of some of that stuff. Like, that's, for even Ebert being like, do these kids not have interesting problems? Like, there's something of an interesting problem there. Like, it's like, okay, he's trying to chase the profession, but balance, okay, I need the money, I need the how do I set myself up for the best life? We've got a future here, I've got a lady, and we're thinking about, do we join forces down the road? Like, do we keep this going for how long? Like, he's starting to kind of answer those questions. He probably does have the most, like, you maybe focus a little bit more on that. Like, I don't know if he becomes a political thriller, but let's see the Dune cast real quick to see if there's any other people that I'm forgetting about sort of in that lane, chat. Otherwise, maybe it's more underrated people that I'm just not as aware of at this point as well too. But let's just see what the old GPT is saying, chat. I don't know, new or older actors. Oh, hey yo, chat. Thanks for Sam, I guess. But REMINGTOM Pod, shout out. But what are we thinking here? Who is the Brat pack in 2025? What is a modern day version of the Brat pack? Is it still going? Is there a club somewhere that you can actually sign up for? Coined in '85, of course. Maybe we need to watch the documentary as well too. Keep our history up. But yeah, Estevez, Rob Lowe, the cast of the movie, Judd Nelson, Sheedy, Anthony Michael Hall, Molly Ringwald in that Breakfast Club mix as well too. So hey yo, what happened? Oh, is it just gonna tell us about the Brat pack in 2025? Oh, that's fine. We can build a comparison off of this if it's not already going to do this. But okay, in short, blah 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 blah. But okay, wait. So we want who would be the modern day versions of these actors? And we're definitely getting Timothée Chalamet in the mix. It's just what it is. Here's a modern day list of a developer based on vibe, career trajectory, and cultural relevance. Okay, chat. Modern counterpart list. So based on vibe, career trajectory, and cultural intelligence. Oh, chat. Was that our fault? We might have sat on the remote that time. It is what it is. Uh-oh. Okay, that's fine. The Pluto continue watching is a great feature, chat, but the movie is paused right now. It is what it is. We got to fire it back up. So I mean, we're not too far off here, but okay, yeah, Pluto's right back in the mix. We just got to give it a second to load, and we will be cooking again. But so is it gonna be? Okay, yeah, 26 minutes left. So we are hour 21 mark, if just to catch y'all back up. But yeah, so it could be career trajectory after the movie, of course. But again, if we're actually finding and building the movie, it's maybe more realistic. Like, can we build the movie with the career trajectory before as well, too? Like, where were they at in their careers? But Mercury 102, Liberty 85. So the Mercury just dominant at home tonight, chat. I don't know if that's sort of a state of the league type game, but very interesting again with both of them having the similar records at this point in the season as well too. And is everybody healthy for the Liberty? John Cole Jones, we're all cooking. I don't, it's been in and out with the attention chat, but it's Brianna Stewart definitely out there. Where's Sabrina at as well too? Hey yo. But Emilio Estevez. Oh, Finn Wolfhard. Okay, yeah, chat. So we're definitely gonna, again, some Stranger Things cast in here as well too. The Ghostbusters role directs as well. So yeah, Emilio Estevez, was he the one that directed the documentary? He might have been, or at least a bigger part of it. But maybe it was McCarthy that was in charge. Rob Lowe, Jacob Elordi, heartthrob with serious chops, Euphoria, Saltburn, glamour plus danger. So is Euphoria like the modern day Outsiders? It's not the Outsiders, I don't think, but that type of role. Like, it does have a lot of course, young guys hanging out in there, a lot of stars in Euphoria. That's for sure. Both sides of the aisle, chat. But Elordi and Finn Wolfhard. So yeah, different properties. Netflix contracts maybe for both these guys. We could definitely maybe. Well, I guess Euphoria is HBO and Saltburn's Prime, so maybe not for Elordi, but we could definitely get these guys on the same streaming service, working for the same movie. Andrew McCarthy is Lucas Hedges. Sensitive, introspective characters in indie and big films. Lucas Hedges, chat. We need to get a double check on the old Lucas Hedges here and see what we've got. Boy Erased. Oh, mid-90s. Honey Boy, chat. 2019. Okay. I like it. Little indie sort of deep cut. Lucas Hedges. But Judd Nelson, Austin Abrams, also Euphoria, Do Revenge, and Dash and Lily, plays angsty rebels. So he's the politically driven guy. But I feel like Finn Wolfhard maybe looks a little more Judd Nelson-y in St. Elmo's Fire almost, if we're just remaking this version of the movie. Anthony Michael Hall, Noah Jupe or Ganton Martizano. Smart, nerdy types, strong child actor roots. Oh, okay, yeah, so starting young chat. Oh, Sadie Sink is Molly Ringwald. That's kind of a good one, chat. What's it say, Elsa? Millie Alcock? Hey, yo. All redhead vibe, all red-haired iconic vibes, emotionally grounded characters. So yeah, the redhead thing is great, but even just the sort of character vibes as well, too. I think there's some definite Sadie Sink, Molly Ringwald overlap. That might be the best comp, honestly, at this point. That makes sense. Demi Moore as Sydney Sweeney. Oh, chat, I was thinking about this one walking around the restaurant today as well, too. I was like, yeah, this movie's definitely Timothy Chalamet and Sydney Sweeney in 2025. But again, Sydney Sweeney, like, is she just a much bigger star than Demi Moore was before this movie? So it's just a different sort of type of billing and a type of movie going in. It's more of a straight up sort of ensemble star cast than sort of, I think, a Brat Packy type movie. But I mean, yeah, again, in terms of the roles and types of movie they were taking, Florence Pugh and Sydney Sweeney, again, I think they're kind of on each other. I don't know if Sydney Sweeney is necessarily market corrected Florence Pugh, because I think Florence Pugh is a better actor than Sydney Sweeney is. At least, she's taking more prestigious roles at this point. It does seem like maybe Florence Pugh is more willing to take, like, a side role as well, too. Like, in Oppenheimer, like, I think Sydney Sweeney would have done the Oppenheimer part for sure. Just straddling Cillian Murphy, chat. Hey, yo, I wouldn't have made it out of the theater. But, Ali Sheedy, Maya Hawke. Actually, I'm just going to say, like, I was ChatGPT today at the restaurant, but that's another one. I was like, because I don't know if is Sheedy a Nepo baby? But I was like, I don't know if we need sort of a Nepo baby in this group, but, Maya Hawke is one that I think we all approve of as well. Yeah, I'm not saying Nepo baby in a bad way, just as sort of a descriptive, like, I don't know if that's a derogatory term, chat, but like as just a, parents of, as just a child of the industry, I guess, is just a way to say it. But Maya Hawke is great as well, too. Like, Maya Hawke, Ali Sheedy, quick, artsy, brainy outsider types. I think, yeah, for sure, those characters overlap. But, I mean, I could see Maya Hawke, Sadie Sink, and Sydney Sweeney in a movie, chat is crazy. That's a stack, cats. I don't even know if we had the budget for that type of movie. So, yeah, that is it. So we didn't even get Timothy Chalamet. Or Jenna Ortega. Ayo Idabiri, Rachel Zelger, and Charles Melton as well, too, would be very, very interesting for the Brat Pack. I guess, is this actually the Brat Pack if we were just casting it? Or is it the Brat Pack based on actual status? Because, again, Austin Abrams and Lucas Hedges are more going straight up biography comps and stylistic and all that stuff. But, like, if we're actually just going, who were sort of the young heartthrob next up type stars, then, of course, obviously we got to put our guy Chalamet in the mix as well, too. And I think... is Jeremy Allen White, speaking of the Bear as well, too? Is he kind of in the mix for this potentially? Maybe he's a little... Could he be the Andrew McCarthy role? Because he has the little... Like, he could be maybe a big star in a movie, but also get the introspective stuff. Again, I'm not watching TV shows. I haven't seen The Bear, but definitely an award-winning type show. I'm guessing his performance as well, too, carries that same type of weight as well, too. Even though, you hear some of the other monologue and big scene stuff coming from other characters in the show, he's obviously still a main performing character as well, too, in that show. So, especially the last three here, Sadie Sink, Maya Hawke, Sydney Sweeney, those are pretty great. We could go maybe Florence Pugh as, I guess those are our three options, chat. Hey, yo. Demi Moore, Ali Sheedy. Oh, what about, who's the, I guess, Whittingham, chat? Mayor Whittingham? Is that the name? I guess, is she technically considered Brat Pack? She's in the movie. But maybe that's where we get Florence Pugh as Whittingham in the movie. And then Rob Lowe. Who's Rob Lowe? Elordi? So Elordi and Florence Pugh? Florence Pugh's looking out the window with Elordi just hanging off the edge. Florence Pugh talking about... Hey, yo, chat. Well, but, yeah, so makes sense for 2025. Not necessarily uncommon names that we were thinking. But is there any other trades we can cook up before this movie ends, chat? We're on a time crunch here. Hey, yo, how many trades can we make before St. Elmo's Fire officially ends? But yeah, how many times can we trade Gobert? Because it feels like we're close, chat. Chicago? Gobert for Vooch? Heat culture? Do the Heat want to build around Gobert? I don't know, chat. Gobert and Embiid next to each other. Oh, man. I don't know if that would work out necessarily. Or is Embiid the star that the Wizards want? Is this the big trade that they've been waiting to make and saving all their pieces for? You add some defense next to Jokic? Gobert in the dunker spot? What is Gobert? Gobert's only a couple million more than Aaron Gordon at this point. Isn't Gobert and Aaron Gordon together? Gobert and Hardenstein basically make the same number. Gobert, that's Shea. Hardenstein's at 28. I thought he was in the 30s. But 35, 28? You got a little cap space if you're Oklahoma City. You just want to upgrade Gobert to Hardenstein? That maybe messes up your Sorber timeline. Now you got an extra year to wait on Sorber. Maybe that speeds up your Sorber timeline. I don't know, Chad. But Gobert, hot take, not untradeable, Chad. I feel like you could flip that around and get interesting if you really wanted to. But the Randall sign and trade is going to be another one, and his landing spot is, really interesting to figure out where sort of that lead forward playmaker. He needs the ball. He needs to be operating the offense. But we also saw his physicality be really important in the playoffs as well, too. And what teams value that? Is Charlotte like a Julius Randle destination? I don't know why that just kind of jumped off, but it doesn't even, I don't know. Him in Charlotte seems like a weird vibe, but him on that roster kind of seems interesting. Him in Dallas is, I don't know, maybe him in just, for some reason, in that blue and white combo is what we're thinking. But Dallas, if they just want to keep bulking up the best front line in the league, Flag, Davis, and Julius Randle. Hey, yo. So Randle is, what's he at right now? 30.9. So he goes a sign and trade to Dallas. They get Clay and they get, one of the, I guess, probably not Lively and Gafford. You're really starting to, you're probably not trading Lively. And then Clay and Gafford for Julius Randle is probably a little too much. You just don't have a lot of minutes as well, too. Yeah, even though you might be a decent team this year, you're not necessarily working with a lot of lee room for that type of option. So, shout out. We've got a little Demi Moore end of the rope situation, chat. Hey, yo. We've got to get the friends together. We've got to try to talk Demi Moore off the edge. But we got an ad break. So, Demi Moore's just going to have to sit and wait, unfortunately, in the room before the friends are ever going to... Verizon's got something to say, chat. Google Gemini's got to butt in before this group's able to save Demi Moore. So... Lakers, chat. I mean, the Lakers guys are always, of course, on the top of the trade machine. The problem is, again, they don't necessarily, they have LeBron, shout out Luka, but they don't have the $30-ish million contracts. And again, not a lot of depth, so you'd really have to, you start packaging Reeves and Hachimura, and you're in the $30 million a year range. Randall's probably not enough for, that type of trade package. Reeves for Randall is already an interesting move on its own. Is there one single guy in the $30 million a year range? Like, are you going to get Franz for Hachimura and Austin Reeves? And probably not anymore because they just invested in the lineup by bringing in Desmond Bane and trying to complement the pieces that they already have. But that could be, a wing, the upside, him and Doncic. You're like, okay, at least we got a couple of, young wings to throw out there and build around, at the very least, and it's Doncic as well, too. One of them. And Franz would be up there for, best young sidekick teammates that Doncic has had as well, too. Best under 20, best same, draft class era teammates almost at this point. Because he didn't have anybody of, his timeline-wise on the Mavs. It's all, those sort of more veteran wing guys. And then they brought in Kyrie as well, too, as his secondary option when they made the title, obviously. So... And now he's playing with LeBron. So, Austin Reeves is basically right now the best sort of younger teammate, build-around guy that he has in his career. And Austin Reeves is older than Doncic. Hey, yo, chat. Hey, yo, I would not have guessed that on Trivia Night. Maybe I would have. It was okay, why is he asking me this question? But just scrolling through, you're like, oh, wait a second. That's actually how it reads. So maybe, Boston, you're probably not in the Jaylen Brown territory. And they just traded Porzingis. So Zinger would have been an interesting one if you had Hachimura and Vincent or something for Porzingis. I don't know if that's quite enough, just in terms of the salaries, to get that number in there. But is Porzingis' health enough? The thing is, Hachimura is out there. He plays. He's a valuable sort of defensive 4 guy, adds to the size of the lineup in there, and means a lot to the Lakers for sure, which is why I think his trade value is a little bit more difficult for that team. New York has already got some of the wings, so they might just be okay, we're happy with the fact that we've got marketable stars again. But with the new ownership group, and maybe it's just like with people have talked about how they built up the Dodgers, maybe it will be them sort of building up. Oh, chatting Judd Nelson just dangling Kevin McCarthy, or dangling Andrew McCarthy out over the balcony is classic stuff. But maybe you're just like, okay, let's build up the front office stuff, the player development, the infrastructure of the team, and then we'll see what kind of moves we're able to make from there. But and the fact that he doesn't drop him as well too, like he's just straight up got his leg, like that's a lot of weight after a while. Maybe the way he's resting on the balcony there would help him out. The truck pulling up just in time. Does he drop him in the truck, or does he help him up? I think he probably just helps him up. But dropping him in the truck would have been a fun move as well too. It looks visually. We've seen John Wick make. He's fallen farther and survived. I guess him being head first is sort of a situation. Yeah, but I guess you got a bicycle in the back of the truck. It's not like a bunch of garbage bags. You need a truck with a bunch of garbage bags to pull up, and then you can just drop McCarthy right on there. But, yeah, I guess Harden as well, too, the one-year deal. Anybody want James Harden as a point guard? 36 million? Anybody? James Harden, Norm Powell? Get you to 56 million? The Celtics, hey? Jaylen Brown for James Harden and Norm Powell? Is there any way you guys would do that? We don't have any future picks to throw in there, but... those are some. You'll get your salary cap cleared out of the way in 26, and then Tatum Simons in a world of possibilities. Chat is the way to go. But chat, I feel like we're right on the edge of like, do I have to take a break real quick and just get this nose situation figured out, or do we or do we just wait for the movie to end? We might as well. Let me go get a little nose blow real quick and then pause. What are we talking about? Not a Demi Moore nose blow, or I guess we said a Jules nose blow. But just a little normal maintenance. So we'll be right back. Professional ending on the movie. Pause. Okay, chat, we're good. Demi Moore's about to be good as well, too. Rob Lowe's fired up 2 cigarettes, and he's about to talk her down. So, the more cigarettes in the scene, the more higher the emotional stakes for this movie. I think it's just a good beat for movies anyway. Chat, obviously, the indoor rules, I think, have really broken that. It's difficult to be like, okay, now we're just going to pivot every time to an outdoor scene where the characters have to step out and take a smoke. But the indoor is like, okay, we're just whipping out cigarettes every spot and just, now we're lighting them up. But maybe with the... speaking of Jules, chat, bring those in. Start just like, okay, just guys ripping enjoys in the movie. What are the kids use? What are Escobars? I don't know, chat. But kids DM. Never mind. Just keeping up with the trade machine. But yeah, moving on. Hawks, do they have trades to make? I don't know if the Mavericks are the team, but they might. I guess they do. They did. Porzingis. Probably not Trae Young, chat. It is what it is. Build around Jalen Johnson, hopefully. And Tuesday. Jalen Johnson, Ricochet, Dyson Daniels, and Tingus Pingus. Chat. It is a fun lineup to see. But yeah, we got free agency around the board here. Is gonna be interesting watch. I'm assuming, I don't know if this is the trade cycle that we're gonna get for the NBA, but I would assume that the sign and trade thing would kind of move around as well too. Like, you don't know the Pacers. Do they feel like, oh, Turner, a little sign and trade on Turner, some guys like that. So I guess we could peek in on the free agency here and see who we're looking at for the market. Of course, LeBron. Hey, yo. Oh, that's right. Justin Edwards, shout out, just signed a 3-year deal. And Van Fleet just locking down a raise, chat. 50 mil. Houston, all in. Kyrie as well, too. So, we want available. LeBron, Harden. Hey, yo. Julius Randle as your unrestricted. Duncan Robinson, if he opts out, he'll hit free agency. Or I guess, those are your player options, sorry. And then your unrestricted. Lopez, Clint Capella, Bruce Brown, Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner. Hey, yo, chat. Hey, yo, this is a free agency class, if I ever saw one. Luke Kennard, Karis LeVert, D'Angelo Russell. Marvin Bagley might actually be like a top 5 free agent, chat. Marvin Bagley got $12 million. Is that just set the market value for Marvin Bagley? Like, now if I want to sign Marvin Bagley, I have to give him $15 million a year? Or can I be like, hey, Marvin Bagley, will you come to the Spurs for 8? Pause. Like, whoa, that's wild, chat. But, will you play on the Spurs for $8 million a year, $10 million a year? Like, does it have to be more? I mean, it probably does if you're Marvin Bagley, which, would be the smart thing. But, he might get it, chat. Hey, yo, like, are you paying Marvin Bagley or D'Angelo Russell or Karis LeVert or Dorian Finney-Smith? Like, I don't know. His rebounding is a 4. Might actually be, again, sort of Aaron Gordon vibes for a guy Marvin Bagley. I would not be surprised if he's sort of the big riser next contract out of these guys. What are we looking at? 26? Entering the peak of his powers? The thing is, I don't know if Memphis is the place for him or not, Chad. I don't know what the best Marvin Bagley landing spot is. But Gary Harris, unrestricted. Josh Giddey, restricted. I guess some of the restricteds might not be too bad this offseason. There might be some good value in there. Eric Gordon, player option. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, unrestricted is not too bad. That's kind of interesting. Jake LaRavia? Hey, yo, chat. Is there a Jake LaRavia market? And then Westbrook. How can we forget about Westbrook? Spencer Dinwiddie. Oh, James Johnson. The enforcer. Who's going to bring the enforcer on the team? I mean, you got to run James Johnson back on the Pacers. You got to give it 2 more years, obviously, because next year without Halliburton is going to be an interesting one. You got to give it 3 more years because Halliburton's going to need that extra year to recover as well, too. So he's got to stick around the Pacers to try to title chase on that team. I think, fan base likes him as a end of the bench. Will go in and fight anybody if you need to type of guy. And you just like that security, chat. You like the security of having James Johnson on your team and not the other team. DeLon Wright, who probably could have played more for the Knicks in the playoffs. We'll see if he gets a good shot. And then, Quentin Grimes restricted free agency. Does Philly bring him back? Hey, yo. Like, what is the Quentin Grimes offer sheet? It's the 2... We got the little Quentin Grimes research here, chat. Hey, yo. Quentin Grimes and Marvin Bagley? Like, that's kind of where we're at the point in this free agency. We just start taking swings on guys like that. What are the upsides of the guys that we like? If Brooklyn gave Kuminga or Grimes anything approaching a max option, projected salary of 38, so a max contract for Grimes is $38 million. Hey, yo, Chad. I don't know if Grimes is quite a max contract guy for his role, but projected for $14 million. Hey, yo, worth more than the mid-level exception. Is Philly going to be the one to give him that? So Quentin Grimes, if the Spurs got Quentin Grimes like a $15 million a year deal, I would not be mad about that. I feel like that's a good wing asset that could be tradable or a valuable rotation guy as well too. So Quentin Grimes might honestly be the number 1 free agent available. Hey, yo, chat. And Cam Thomas. Quentin Grimes, Cam Thomas. Saldama. Definitely Saldama as well too. And Ty Jerome. So unrestricted, maybe Ty Jerome. 28, not necessarily a defensive stopper, but the offensive versatility for maybe a third guard is just a great potential upside for him as well too. Even though some of the playoff stuff was a little bit rougher, his role was elevated, and maybe it's just sort of the Cavs vibes as well too for this playoff run weren't necessarily strong, and maybe the Pacers vibes for this playoff run were just too strong as well too. Nobody was outside of the Thunder able to take them down. Jericho Sims, Lonnie Walker. Okay, chat, we're really, digging deep here. Paul Reed, we still have stock. There's definitely a potential there. Kai Jones, Ben Simmons, unrestricted free agent Ben Simmons. The Clippers stuff was, did it revitalize his career? But it was like, okay, is there a role for him in that? Well, I don't know. You want somebody that plays half the court on basketball, but if you like somebody that plays in the backcourt and not the actual half court that matters, that would be a interesting guy to bring in. David Roddy, okay, Chad. I don't know. We'd have to really watch tape, find a diamond in the rough. In this group, McClung, Koloko. There we go. Restricted two-way guy, Koloko. That's some stock we have. Kessler Edwards. We'll never give up, chat. So I guess, I don't know. Is there any free agency storylines? Probably not, but maybe with the trades and the potential movement, there is. Because I guess, pause. But that's really where the trading is, that's where the excitement is going to lie. Because, again, the free agency class is not going to be that thrilling. Unless LeBron goes somewhere, like he opts out and goes somewhere. Or, there wasn't even any other big star names, chat. It is what it is. But the NBA will give us something. It already has. So some other teams will panic. Some other teams will make some moves. Somebody will get feisty. Some GMs will be in some coffee shop somewhere cooking up, and it'll result in some trades. But there we go, chat. That's not Rob Lowe on the ending saxophone. Maybe it is, but it very well could be. As he goes off for the next phase of life. It is what it is. He needs it, chat. It is what it is. But, yeah, the schedule this summer, chat, still trying to stay consistent for our normal schedule. We were working a little overtime there for the conference finals. But, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, we're usually here on the live stream. So, just because it's summer doesn't mean that should change. We're here for you. We're hanging out. We got some movies. Like we said, we got some fun games. We got albums. We got, it's just stuff dropping all summer, chat. There's going to be fun stuff to react to. So, you guys aren't going to want to miss it. We got the of course, if you guys want to subscribe here on the live stream to just keep up with any time the computer restarts and, jump back into the next part 2. You can subscribe for the updates on that. And the live streams go up on the podcast feeds as well, too. So, IT will have to stitch this one together and then throw it up there, and then it'll be ready. But they're available on, Spotify, Apple, all the different various feeds for that. And if you guys want to send us some messages as well, too, you guys can message us at REMINGTOM on Instagram. Send us a DM over there. DMs are open, chat. They are open. So, yo, chat. You always got to end with, do we go to a different bar? That's really the sign of moving on, chat. It's like, just a different bar. Like, okay, we're adults now. We're going to a different spot. It is what it is. But, hey, that can be a sign of growing up and moving on. That's a different bar, chat. It can be, in a way. But, I guess nothing will ever top St. Elmo's, chat. Iconic movie location, iconic movie, iconic cast, iconic starts to so many iconic careers. So, 40 years later, chat, a lot of iconic stuff, still holds up, still a great watch even 40 years later. So, F1, chat, this weekend, hopefully we go watch it. Maybe we'll be reacting to it. We've got, like I said, free agency right around the corner. We've got the updated player rankings, which we will be doing as well, too. Make no mistake, chat. We're going to be locked in on that. We did our top 100 players of the NBA season before we did the playoffs. And the playoffs, we knew there was going to be drama. Of course there was. And I feel like it was like, okay, are we even going to shift these players? Like, okay, our player ranking is going to be so perfect going into the playoffs that after the playoffs, it's like, yep, we got it. We don't need to update it. But nope. Turns out the playoffs were dramatic. Stuff happened, legacies and player evaluations and all this stuff moved. So and after the draft as well, too, it'll be a perfect time to sort of update the player rankings and say, hey, here is where we are at, headed into the offseason next season for 2025. And, NFL stuff is right around the corner as well, too, chat. We've got the NFL season. Fantasy leagues? Hey, yo, we've got to start prepping for fantasy leagues, fantasy drafts, all that different stuff. So, like we said, there's just all kinds of stuff to be hanging out, talking about, chatting about. We could have fired up this new Pierre Bourne album,
which people are excited about. And I've definitely had my eyes on. I didn't like have the day, I guess, written down on when it was gonna be dropping. I was like, hey, Pierre Bourne's dropping an album. We're definitely gonna be checked out on that. It's like, oh yeah, it's this week. Definitely got to add that in. So maybe that's tomorrow, Chad. Maybe tomorrow we fire up the Pierre album and give that a listen and see what we think. But we know that's gonna be good as well too. And is he rapping on that? I saw a couple of features, but if it's a Beats album as well too, I mean, shout out Pierre. That'd be pretty sick. Everybody just rocking beats this summer, chat. Hey yo, who wouldn't be down for that? So we've got a Clips album dropping in a little bit as well too, which is gonna be fun. We haven't had a good album drop. A good album drop. Shout out to Carter 6. An anticipated album drop. Fun sort of event. So I'm just saying, like, we haven't had an event album drop in a second. The Clips are setting us up for a nice event. This is gonna be fun. And then the Carter 6, respect Lil Wayne. Hopefully he's putting some work into the project, but maybe it's not gonna quite stay in the airwaves the same way some projects. But so a good new rotation project is about ready to, I think, be dropped for 2025 as well too. We're about due for one of those and about the start of that. But yeah, chat, like I said, we'll be here Sunday, I guess, hanging out. Normal schedule, Sunday, Tuesday, Friday, chat. So stay tuned. We thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight, and we will see you guys next